In the last couple of Best of the Year discoveries, I mentioned how the unfortunate state of the world allowed us to find some pretty awesome Easter eggs. And as to whether or not things have improved from the previous year, I don't even want to talk about that. This is why today we're diving into the top 10 best mysteries and discoveries of 2021, brought to you by Genshin Impact. Use my link in the description down below to get Genshin Impact for free on your devices right now, and adventure upon the new island area in Azuma of travelers to find new fantasies on your journey. Star Wars Starfighter. Thanks to Sly Cooper Reload Coded for submitting this for the oddheader Discord. Star Wars Starfighter is the smooth 2001 spaceflight simulator that takes place during the Battle of Naboo from the 1999 film The Phantom Menace. Both Star Wars titles I thoroughly enjoyed as a kid despite their obvious drawbacks. Well, one of my favorite hackers and YouTubers, Sly Cooper Reload Coded, was feeling a bit nostalgic themselves and began going through the code of the game and uncovered many debugging tools developers left over. Using a command they found to generate any model in the game that they wanted. They noticed there was a model for a Jar Jar in the files that, as far as they knew, never actually appeared in the game, which when they spawned in gave them this dork, Jar Jar Binks, the annoying comic relief character from The Phantom Menace that many consider the worst Star Wars character of all time, except for some reason in a barrel and even complete with animations, which is rather unusual for an asset that wouldn't normally appear in the game. After doing a bit of reverse engineering and some investigating, Reload Coded was able to determine that the model did actually appear in the game, apparently on the mission Rescue on the Solo, and determined it was set in an invisible state and coded to suddenly appear after a specific voice line in the game was said.
Rescue flight, let's pick 'em up!
Which plays after destroying the very last island turret on the mission. With all the information they needed, Reload Coded played the mission up until the point of destroying the last turret, and then decided to ignore the normal mission objective and turned around and faced the large waterfall towering over the environment, looking near the top to see if anything would happen. And sure enough, Reload Coded seemingly discovered for the very first time, this. As far as I and Reload Coded could tell, there doesn't appear to be any other mention or documentation of this ever before, leading us to believe this is the first time this Easter egg has ever been discovered in 20 years. Regardless, it's unbelievably satisfying after 2 decades. We finally get to see this son of a get thrown off a waterfall in a barrel. Rayman 3. Hoodlum Havoc. Thanks to frequent contributor Cyclone Joker for submitting this discovery on oddheader.com. 2003's Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc is the third installment in Ubisoft's popular platformer series, which pretty much felt like Rayman 2 with the addition of some new humor that really pushed the E rating, some of which was even censored for the Xbox 360 re-release.
Hey, I like that outfit on you. When does it come off? Don't be so touchy.
Regardless of all that, earlier this year, Rayman hacker Drooly discovered for the first time in the PlayStation 2 version of the game an unfound Easter egg that references a time when Rayman games were simpler, as they found a secret display mode that could be activated by setting the standard video output to 480p, and then starting a new game with the file name PS1. Doing so makes the game drop down to 240p and removes texture filtering, making the game convincingly look like a classic PlayStation 1 platformer, which is cool and all, love it, but I'd also love if somebody could explain to me why in the game's code this secret display mode is internally referenced as Christian Slater mode. What the hell does Christian Slater have to do with giving Rayman second-rate graphics? Or is it a reference to a second-rate Jack Nicholson impression that he does in Heathers? I contacted both the developers and Christian Slater about this and didn't hear a response. I can only hope we hear from the developers about this sooner rather than Slater. McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. Thanks to Vitafied for submitting this on the oddheader Discord. McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, released on Sega Genesis in 1993, is a side-scrolling platformer featuring former hamburger representative Ronald McDonald and his gang of fast foodie friends on a mission to promote fast food to children, or find pieces of a treasure map. Even so, and now craving some Mickey D's myself, it's a surprisingly good game for a McDonald's title, likely credit to the fact that it was the first game created by Treasure, a studio made up of ex-Konami employees. For some reason, Treasure was quite ambitious with the game's tech, which is why Treasure founder Masato Migawa had to reveal in issue 219 of Retro Gamer magazine there was an impressive hidden 3D rotating polygonal display that could be found if a secret code was entered into the game. At the time, no players had figured out how to activate the Easter egg, until in April of this year, Twitter user Unlisted Cheese was finally able to crack the code by entering a sequence of balloons, a gem, the McDonald's arch, and Ronald McDonald himself, followed by pressing start 3 times and holding up and left after hearing an explosion, which revealed this intense Easter egg. What the hell's going on? The McDonald's sign actually transforms into the 3D engine that programmer Kazuki Go Ishida developed for Treasure's logo screen, which allows the player to select from different models and rotate them around. But as far as why the music is this intense is not known. Migawa also revealed in a past interview there's also a second unfound Easter egg in the game, where inputting a code on the menu screen would make the Sega logo explode, which apparently the developers added to the game out of frustration as they were ticked by McDonald's last-minute demands. such as changing the hamburger scenes to feature gems instead, so that McDonald's hamburgers weren't treated with disrespect. Were they planning on showing how they made them? Though really, I don't understand why Treasure made an Easter egg to take out their McDonald's frustrations by blowing up the Sega logo. Wouldn't it make more sense like this? Quarantine. Thanks to Dark Alchemy XEX for submitting this through the oddheader Discord. Quarantine, a concept we're all familiar with at this point, is an interesting title from 1994 on the 3DO and MS-DOS, where you play as a cab driver trying to escape a chaotic city that's been walled off from the rest of the world, controlled by an ominous outside corporation that contaminates their water supply and drives its citizens mad, which plays like an interesting concoction of Crazy Taxi, Doom, and Grand Theft Auto. The developers, funny enough, going on to later join Rockstar Studios, who made the Grand Theft Auto series. While it's remembered for its over-the-top intro and striking cover, that's a windshield wiper smearing away some blood, by the way. The game also hides particular secret Dark Alchemy found that will be sure to never make anyone see the game the same way again. As Dark Alchemy remembered as a kid inputting a money cheat incorrectly and coming across something he certainly never expected to see, at least at his age, as by using an emulator today he found by going to the language setting in the menu and entering the code CBCA, you would hear a scream, which doesn't initially seem to do anything, until you realize every single character you pick up in your cab is letting it all hang out for everyone to see. Whoa. Did not need to see that. Dark Alchemy even got a response from a developer on Reddit who revealed he had no idea that the new code was on the 3DO version, but knew it was on the MS-DOS version and gave him the code for that. Thanks. Can't wait to check that one out. Good job, Dark Alchemy, for confirming this horrendous discovery does truly exist on the 3DO version for the first time in 27 years. Now, if you can just excuse me, I'm gonna go wash out my eyes. Halo 3. Thanks to Corbin Petland for submitting this on oddheader.com. While the third installment in the Halo series was released in 2007, a new unfinished beta build of the game was only recently released. And similar to the unfound Easter egg that was found in the original Halo beta last year, it didn't take long for Corbin to find something that's never been found before, as Corbin was messing around with the included developer tools in the beta and decided to spawn in as many warthogs as they possibly could, when they decided to get in the back turret of one of the hogs and start blowing everything to smithereens, when suddenly, whoa. Investigating this for myself only posed more questions than answers. The butterflies only seem to appear if you destroy enough warthogs at the same time using a single explosion. My initial theory that it was a placeholder for an unfinished particle effect also seemed to lose steam, as it appeared that all the explosive effects that appear in the final game seem to be intact here. Honestly, there's no answers to this one, but one thing I can say for certain, it does look cool. Homefront: The Revolution. This discovery takes us all the way back to 2019 on the channel, when I covered in my video 10 game discoveries never meant to be found part 3, then the 2016 first-person shooter Homefront: The Revolution. An arcade machine could be found in the game that allowed players to play the first 2 levels of the classic shooter Timesplitters 2, which confused data miners as they managed to find every single asset from the entire game of Timesplitters 2 completely redone in HD sitting in the files of the game, leaving me only to speculate why, considering only 2 levels were actually playable on the cabinet. Or at least so I thought, as only a couple months later a developer, who wished to remain anonymous, saw this segment and in response reached out to me and my friend and collaborator Easter Egg Hunter to reveal there actually was a way to play the full Timesplitters 2 game in Homefront: The Revolution. But due to announcements from its publisher of an official Timesplitters HD re-release supposedly around the corner, the legal ramifications of revealing such an egg was unclear, leading me to heavily hint about the unfound Easter egg and Easter eggs that were never found part 2. And so the search was on, largely led by Tanflow1997 on my Discord server, who started another server where much more progress was made on the egg, but the final solution managed to always evade them. Then this year, completely out of nowhere, a separate developer from the one that contacted me and the Easter Egg Hunter, Matt Phillips, let the cat out of the bag, revealing the full game was hidden in the cabinet, but didn't explain how to unlock it. Tanflow1997 requested some more information, and the developer spoiled that it involved inputting a code that's been lost to time. This prompted data miner and hacker Spencer Perot to quickly bounce back with a code he pulled from the data of the game, which when players went and entered on the level select screen, finally revealed the full playable HD remaster of Timesplitters 2 that's been hiding in Homefront: The Revolution for 5 years since its release in 2016, which finally lifts the weight off of my chest, as it was hard keeping that a secret, which I was only doing not to get anyone in legal trouble, especially considering Deep Silver did publicly indicate that they were going to release a future Timesplitters game. Well, hopefully Matt Phillips isn't in any hot water right now, as Deep Silver releasing the remaster now is pretty much out the window at this point. Dark Judgment. Thanks to Mills for submitting this discovery on the Oddheader Discord. Earlier this year in my video 7 Easter eggs that haven't been found part 3, I talked about the action arcade beat-em-up side-scrolling game Dark Judgment, which was released in Hong Kong in 1997 and finally released worldwide on Steam for the first time in 2020. In that video I detailed how in 2016, the game's sprite designer wrote a blog post about the game, mentioning a hidden playable character he called Tomato Girl who apparently was hidden so well no player had ever managed to find her, leading me only to imagine what Tomato Girl could really be. As just a few months after my video, Mills combed through the data of the game and figured out by pressing down, left, down, right, down, up, down, down, attack as player 1 on the player select screen, you would finally unlock Tomato Girl, which apparently was only a nickname as her name is actually Frankenstein. Not exactly sure how anyone was supposed to find that. Not only that, but Mills also found by pressing down, down, left, left, up, up, right, right, jump on the same screen, you could unlock a second hidden playable character named Little Carol, who might actually kick the most ass out of anyone in this game, making that 2 Easter eggs Mills uncovered that were actually hidden in the game for 24 years. As well as confirming my prediction for Tomato Girl wasn't actually that far off. Well, with some adjustment. Kid Pilot. Thanks to Natalie for submitting this through oddheader.com. 1998's Kid Pilot is a rather standard flight simulator for children that flew under the radar for just about everyone, lost in the sea of countless edutainment titles from the 90s that no one can seem to remember, except for Natalie, who recalled a discovery they found in Kid Pilot as a kid that they'd never been able to forget. As Natalie explained after crashing the plane in the game, they remember being startled by the image of a skull of one of the game's cartoon penguins, but never was able to see it again, leaving Natalie wondering what it was for years. Until finally this year they couldn't bear the torment any longer and finally decided to extract the files from their old copy of the game. Sure enough, they did find a pop-up screen in the files featuring a skull and crossbones of the penguins, but also weirdly the message "Is this your card?" that they didn't remember at all, as well as a sheet of playing cards elsewhere in the files which didn't seem to appear anywhere in the game, as well as a hidden setting to display a specific card in the prompt that they found. Natalie then reached out to lead programmer of the game Glenn Wolfram, and Wolfram unexpectedly revealed that he was a huge fan of the comedic magicians Penn and Teller, who in the past encouraged their fans to hide cards in obscure places for elaborate "is this your card" tricks. Glenn revealed in an interesting twist it wasn't so much an Easter egg that was supposed to be found, but rather a magic trick, as well as a tribute to his favorite magicians. The trick being, first you get a friend to pick a card. You set the card in the secret setting that Natalie found without them noticing. Get your friend to play the game, and then crash the plane in Las Vegas where Penn and Teller perform, when you would then say "is this your card" as the card they chose appeared on screen, tricking your clueless friend none the wiser. Glenn revealed Penn and Teller declined to give their endorsement for the Easter egg like he had hoped, so instead he put in the dead penguin. But as far as he knew, it was never actually properly implemented, so how Natalie managed to be struck by this unnerving image, as well as why Glenn thought a dead version of one of the game's characters was an appropriate replacement for a card trick, may just be questions where we'll never know the answer. Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. Thanks to Ashley for submitting this on oddheader.com. 2016's Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location is the 5th installment in the hugely popular jump scare barraging horror series, pitting players against hostile animatronics and locations connected to the fictional Freddy Fazbear's Pizza franchise. While the series is known for its countless deep lore fan theories and mysterious questions, that didn't stop Five Nights at Freddy's data miner and technical documenter Ashley from finding something in the game for the first time in 5 years that completely defies explanation from the rest of the game. And don't worry, it's not a jump scare. I wouldn't do that to you. As Ashley found on night 2 when traveling through the GBAura gallery, by standing still and holding down the 0 and 1 keys simultaneously for exactly 1 minute and 20 seconds, the game suddenly switches over to a blue screen. And then by pressing 1 again immediately after, it would suddenly switch to a strange display of flickering numbers, some of which eventually go static. The hell is this? What's particularly mysterious about this is Ashley confirmed that every step of this discovery is intentionally hard-coded into the game, confirming it is something completely intentional and not something that wasn't meant to be found. There is also some number generation that can be found on the breaker room screen, but Ashley confirmed that one is programmed entirely different and is specifically made to display a much larger range of numbers. Some immediately believed it had something to do with the keypad in the private room, but again Ashley confirmed there is only one possible solution to the keypad, as the 4 keys to the solution are the only ones with scripting on them, none of which have anything to do with this screen. And unfortunately, that's where the trail ends. Plenty have tried to reach out to the developer for answers, but unfortunately never heard anything back. As far as Ashley is concerned, they don't believe the discovery is in any way connected to the story, but are absolutely clueless why this was intentionally hidden the way it was or what it could possibly be, chucking this one up to be a great big who the hell knows. Dread Out 2. Thanks to Michael Johnson for submitting this through oddheader.com. Dreadout 2 is a game from 2020 clearly inspired by the classic Fatal Frame series. Fatal Frame being an Eastern horror series about schoolgirls who fight off ghosts with still cameras, whereas Dreadout is an Eastern horror series about schoolgirls who fight off ghosts with phone cameras, using what the game calls an iris phone, which allows its users to see more than the human eye can perceive. Michael initially submitted through my website that he was scurrying along the perimeter of the environment when he heard noises that indicated that an enemy was nearby, but couldn't determine what it was or get closer to where the sounds were leading. At first that's all it was, until Michael managed to figure out an exploit where if he switched to the free camera and then moved the camera far enough away, the environment in his wall collision would deload, allowing him to move his position freely and get on the other side of the barriers. Using this glitch, Michael decided to explore out of bounds of the area where he initially heard the noises, only to realize there was an Easter egg out of bounds featuring this weird ass dude with a cat, who's apparently a mythological creature from Indonesian folklore named Buto Ijo, but yet this still wasn't where the sounds were coming from, as right next to Buto is a staircase leading down to a dead end that when scanned with your iris phone reveals a strange symbol on the wall. With Michael's newfound wall glitch, he used a trick and was surprised to find on the other side of the wall was a room with a lone zombie, only to realize there was an incredibly elaborate tunnel system that stretched underneath the entirety of the environment. Almost immediately, Michael found a bat he could pick up that didn't appear anywhere else in the game, that when observed in the inventory only provided a blank white image, inferring that the bat and its surroundings were unfinished. As Michael descended further into the unknown, he came across several more unnerving enemies to the point that he realized he wasn't going to be able to go any farther. Fortunately, with the use of his wall glitch, he was able to continue forward, and Michael didn't find anything down there at all and gave up. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and if you want to see— okay, fine. Apparently, Michael found for the first time a horrendous beast that appears to be the original final boss for the base game, though it does appear to resemble a boss that appeared in the game's trailer in the later DLC. Fortunately, this hideous creature doesn't have any active AI and can be easily defeated, and after ridding the environment of the atrocity, on the other side of this door, Michael found what appears to be a developer room? Either this whole area was left unfinished, never meant to be found, or this creature remains deep underground in this location that's yet to be properly solved, ready to attack the player once the correct conditions are met. Until then, it appears the creature will continue to guard the game's biggest secret at the bottom of this rabbit hole, far underneath these dark, unreachable depths hidden deep below the environment. And thanks again to Genshin Impact for sponsoring this video. If you're any sort of a fan of RPGs or things that are free, I truly cannot recommend Genshin Impact enough, which you can download for free right now on your PC, Android, iOS device, PlayStation 4, or PlayStation 5. Right off the bat, I was awed by the gorgeous self-shaded graphics and beautifully detailed vast environments, as well as its endlessly robust gameplay systems and its addictive flowing combat. I thought switching characters on the fly to utilize their different elemental abilities in real time was a really cool change of pace, while the story's engaging with funny dialogue, cute characters, and tons of well-executed mechanics, making this actually one of the better RPGs I've played in recent years. And the craziest part about all this is that it's free. The game looked and ran flawlessly on console and PC, but I was also pleasantly surprised how it looked and played just as smooth on mobile, making Genshin Impact easily the most impressive RPG I've ever played on my phone, and again, with no money spent. Download it now and you can experience the new 2.3 update, which adds farming and fishing in addition to the climbing, swimming, and gliding you already do across the game's enormous open world. Version 2.3 also includes new characters, Arataki Ito and Goru, with several new events included such as the Hangout Event Series 4, where you discover the secrets of General Goru, Shadows Amid Snowstorms, where you can build your own snowman, as well as Energy Amplifier Fruition and Misty Dungeon Realm of Light. The update also includes the new monster Golden Wolflord, hailing from a dark world and ruler of the Black Wolves, which has the power to dissolve space itself and forge rifts wherever it may enter. Also included are new weapons Red Horn Stone Thresher and artifacts Husk of Opulent Dreams and Ocean Hued Clan. Use my link in the description down below to get Genshin Impact on your devices right now, and adventure upon the new island area and Inazuma of Travelers to find more fantasies on your journey. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and if you know of any other discoveries from this year that you think I may have missed, submit to oddheader.com, come join the Discord, or even send me a shout through Twitter or Reddit. Shout out to Alexander Knight, Angel the Fox, Ash Photography, Andrew FM, Chad Biscuits, Grow Ups, Combat 15 Bowl, Dear Mid Crowley, Ed Moffat, Eddie Talkspin the Bleach Primid, Fox M Cloud 123, Frosted Flakes, Miss Arctic Foxy, Oliver Pearson, Riley S, Robert Eisenman, Scarities, Starcore 2, Sneaking J, SNS, Taryn Stock, Towerizer, Tricky Skies, Vincent, and Jan Benier for their Patreon support. Stay tuned.